let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hey, Dave, Frank from Cleveland. It's Tuesday. I'm watching the show. And Haslam's up there, he got to talking about, domestic violence with the women. He knew damn well what Deshaun was up to before they went and did all that big nonsense, trading away 3 first-rounders and signing them to a mega deal, and he turned out to be a bust. So I don't want to hear his baloney about they did their due diligence. Let me know what you think, brother. Come on now. Love you, Dave. You and the family be good, be safe, and I'll be in touch. Bye.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Let's welcome in Spencer German from 92.3 The Fan, the Lockdown Browns podcast, and Cleveland Browns on SI. Spencer, I understand that perception. Each of them are individuals. You knew with Deshaun Watson. You had heard rumblings about Michael Hall. You heard rumblings about Perrion Winfrey. I guess the surprising thing is you didn't hear anything about Quinshon Judkins. It's almost like you can't win.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you're right about Quinshon. Like, nothing bad was said about him during the pre-draft process. There were really no red flags. I honestly think that caller, and I've talked about this a little bit, like, speaks for a lot of this fan base when it comes to these incidents, because I do believe that the Browns try to educate their players on how to avoid these situations. I'd love to see, like, I think de-escalation is maybe the biggest thing, right? Like, if you find yourself in this situation, how do you de-escalate and get out of it? Like I'm sure they try to teach some of those things. I've heard about some of the different speakers they've brought in to talk to players about these incidents. Some of them domestic violence victims who basically are saying, like, here's what happened to me. Like, this is why this is important. And, it's not that I don't think they're invested in it. And it's not that I don't think they try to educate their players. But I think where people get, like, where they lose people is in looking back and realizing what this team signed up for with the Deshaun Watson thing. The fact that he was accused of everything he was accused of. And then you kind of rewarded him in a way, because you brought him in because you thought he was really good at football, and you gave him $230 million guaranteed. And it was like I think that really turned a lot of people off to, yeah, you might invest in these things. You might invest in the education piece. You might try to educate players on, how not to get in these situations and how to get on the straight and narrow for guys who maybe do come in with those red flags. But the problem is it keeps happening. And the more it happens, the more people just go back to the Deshaun thing and say, why am I not surprised that this organization has people that are doing these things? So, yeah, listen, I think that, like, and here's the thing, like, it's not like this isn't a league-wide problem. Like, there's people getting arrested for similar things across the league. There's numbers that show that. The Browns aren't abnormal in that way. But the problem is when you have the Deshaun Watson situation looming overhead for this organization, I think it becomes like they become the easy target for all this. And so they kind of have to figure this thing out. I thought it was interesting that Jimmy Haslam said, we have to rethink how we do some of this stuff, because, maybe it's not getting through. Like, we're teaching it, but we need to find ways to make sure it's resonating with the players. And so we'll see what changes, if anything changes. This will always be happening in football, but the Browns are sort of the easy target and the punching bag, if you will, because when you sign up for what you signed up for with Deshaun Watson, no one's going to really care what you have to say about how much you try to teach players to do the right thing.
Yeah, without question. The skepticism, I get it.